And now the situation in Gaza Strip at the edge of another conflict. What I see, Mahmoud Abbas wants Hamas to attack Israel. So Israel will attack Hamas. As outcome, children will die. So this is the Palestinian leadership mentality. When they don't have money, when the United States cut funds or reduce the funds from Mahmoud Abbas, he would say, sacrifice few hundred children in Gaza Strip so the world can outrage against Israel. You know, they will blame Hamas. Well, Hamas is a terrorist organization. They will blame Hamas and they will blame Israel. And Mahmoud Abbas will raise billions of dollars out of this suffering. Of course, people in their political delusion, they can deny things, you know, and they can accuse Israel and they can praise the predator. People can say whatever they want to say. I'm responsible for my words, and I speak with the authority of my experience and first-hand observation of the reality, knowing Hamas leadership, knowing Palestinian Authority leadership, and knowing that they are the enemies of the Palestinian people. Israel cares for the Palestinian people more than their own leadership cares. You know, actually, Palestinian leaderships want Palestinian people to die, and that's a reality. It has been like this for so many years. There is no need for them if people don't die. And every now and then they start a war. So for me, you ask me what triggered that? It's an evolution. It's like we grew up witnessing the first Palestinian Intifada. And during the first Palestinian Intifada, you know, I was next to a cemetery and we witnessed death on a daily basis. And as children, we thought Israel was responsible for that, not knowing the truth that Palestinian leaderships sent children, instead of going to schools, they forced them to go and confront with the IDF. And they sent suicide bombers. And they sent all type of individuals to commit terrorist attacks, killing civilians. Started by stabbing with a knife, with a gun, and eventually it became suicide bombing attacks with the name of nationalism. That by doing this, we're going to emancipate ourselves from what's so-called occupation. Now, the question is, does any Palestinian leader really want the Palestinian conflict to end? If the conflict ends, they don't profit anymore. There is no need for them anymore. This is why they ask for impossible things, that they actually, there's no solution for their political ambition. There is no satisfaction. Nobody can satisfy them. And they know this truth. But by sending people to die, the world has to pay them off. And this is the fuel for their endless cycle of violence. So now, observing such a reality and seeing, by the way, the vacuum and the gap between their lifestyle and the children of Gaza and the people of Gaza. On one hand, you know, they're full of corruption. They spend the public money that they collect by the name of the victims. They spend it, and the world knows how they spend it.
Is it something like 65% of the residents of Gaza are living under the poverty line because of the totalitarian regime of Hamas in Gaza?
Right, you know, it's like all the funds that come to Hamas in Gaza, they're invested in building tunnels, you know, and building military wing rather than bringing milk to the children of Gaza. Right now, you see, it's like the reality. This is how I observe it. I don't know how intelligence services see it. I don't know how the donors in the European Union see it. And I don't care how they see it. For me, I see Mahmoud Abbas cutting electricity from the Gaza Strip, cutting milk, medicine. And now the situation in Gaza Strip at the edge of another conflict. What I see, Mahmoud Abbas wants Hamas to attack Israel. So Israel will attack Hamas. As outcome, children will die. So this is the Palestinian leadership mentality. When they don't have money, when the United States cut funds or reduce the funds from Mahmoud Abbas, he would say, sacrifice few hundred children in Gaza Strip so the world can outrage against Israel. You know, they will blame Hamas. Well, Hamas is a terrorist organization. They will blame Hamas and they will blame Israel. And Mahmoud Abbas will raise billions of dollars out of this suffering. How he is going to spend it, I don't know. Gaza does not have electricity, does not have medicine. People are dying. Children are dying in hospitals because they don't have electricity in the hospital. They don't have medication. So the average person, you know, who don't know all dimensions of this conflict will look at Gazan children dying, and it's going to be just exchange of blame. They just want anybody to blame. Israel is going to be the party to blame. Even though Israel will open its hospitals, even though Israel will ask civilians to evacuate, to get out from certain areas so they can come and deal with the tunnel problems, and Hamas will force civilians to stay. And in their ignorance, they will stay. Then there will be civilian casualties. Instead of blaming Israel, you need to blame the party that used civilians as human shields. So this will bring us again and again, for how many dimensions to this conflict and how it's played by infinite forces of existence. That does not even start with Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas. Mahmoud Abbas considered, the moderate Palestinian leader. His partner. He's a criminal. But of course, he knows how to get away with it. He knows how to manipulate the international public. Iran has something to do with it. Saudi Arabia has something to do with it. Qatar has something to do with it. And we need to see, that money is the main cause for this conflict. And for the international community, instead of investing in the Palestinian Authority, in the predator, they invest in the enemy of the people. They should invest in the people directly by building economy, by building infrastructure, by educating them, by giving them some hope and some relief. Don't think a sanction against civilians in Gaza Strip will force Hamas to actually reconcile. And this is why I don't like blaming Israel. It's the easiest thing to do. Just blame Israel, what's so-called occupation, which is non-existence. And I say non-existence because Palestinians have the opportunity of being independent. And Israel will definitely help them. Israel has no interest of controlling the Palestinians' lives. They don't take taxations from them. They don't need nothing from the Palestinian people. Actually, the Palestinian people take a lot from Israel. And Israel is willing to give more and more to help them on every level. So again, there is no direct answer to, what was the event that made me believe that Israel is not the problem in the Middle East, that Israel is not the enemy of the Palestinian people. Israel is not the enemy of the Arab people. Actually, Israel has the power to invade, destroy most of the Arab capitals in matter of hours, if they want to. But they are not doing it. If the picture was the opposite, if any Arab country had the power Israel has, they wouldn't hesitate of destroying the state of Israel. Israel is always at defense, always. 99% of the wars that happened between Israel and Arabians, Israel was at defense. And possibly the only time it launched a war against Egypt, it was also in the understanding of defense. So the world can go on of denying this reality and this truth, but we all will pay a price. And it's time for us to take responsibility, to choose which side. And I'm not talking about taking side of Israel as a political regime, but taking the side of a successful model that respects the human dignity, respects the human rights, and open for all type of people, all religions. We have all religions practiced in the state of Israel. And this is another reason, if you ask me why. When I look at Israel and see Christianity practiced freely, Islam is practiced freely, there is a civil constitution that has the upper hand. This is the model that I would like to see in other Arab countries. In the Arab world, the upper hand is for the religious authorities. It's not for a civil constitution. It's to the culture and the unwritten law. This is not good. This is not going to help the human evolution. We need to understand that this is against the evolvement of individuals in the Arab world. This is another reason why I choose to believe in the Israeli model, in the democratic model. In the Arab world, they teach people to believe. In Israel, they follow the Western model of education. They teach people to doubt. And I like to teach people and the generations to doubt, not to believe. to believe in theories. And this is why we have all this problem, self-deluded people who go and blow themselves up, thinking that they're going to go to paradise. It doesn't get darker than this. This is the problem of belief. So there are so many reasons that make me accept the Israeli democratic model. And I think we should not be afraid to say, I'm just being an example, a model for so many people in the Arab world who don't have maybe the opportunity. And they have lots of things to lose if they say this truth, that no, we prefer democracy. But the moment they say Israel, they are going to be labeled as traitors. And nobody wants to be a traitor. For me, it was a choice I made. I knew that my people will consider me as a traitor. I knew that. And it's by choice. And I'm not afraid to be labeled as a traitor because I know what I am. And I don't need the validation of the majority of our people to come and tell me what you did was right or wrong. For me, I stand for my own truth, and I'm not concerned of the lies of societies.
Are there more people like you, Mosab? I mean, you were part of an organization called the Islamic Resistance Movement. There was an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. In the Covenant Charter, calls for the destruction of the State of Israel and for the genocide of the Jewish people worldwide. How can other people like you break that powerful hold that the likes of Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, any other kind of dangerous Islamist faction out there on the people, on your people? How can that cord be broken?
This is the reality of the Middle East and the rest of the world. So now, in our evolution, we need people who have the courage to get out of their sheephood. And it takes a lot. They don't have to copy me. But what we need people to understand and realize their individuality. That, all of us have the potential to create our own reality and decide for ourselves, think for ourselves, and eventually go beyond thinking and beyond mind, beyond conditioning, period. Our potential is much higher than man, and our potential is much higher than political and even scientific theories. This is the type of individuality I would like to see everywhere, whether if it's in the West or in the East. But in the meantime, I believe that a democratic climate will create a healthier environment for the individuals to be able to breathe. Oppression and violence, corruption, manipulation will keep many people in darkness. And yes, people are afraid. I was afraid. I was afraid to go against the flow of the society. You think I was not afraid? Getting into the unknown, writing a book that condemned me, and it was like crucifying myself. So I don't expect from everyone, in that region to go on a suicidal mission like me.
I wish there were. I mean, it'd be a more peaceful place.
Because basically they can grow in their understanding, of their individuality without having to go and do all the extremes that I did. I don't invite people to do all the extremes. But in the meantime, I'm a living example that even though I went against the society and I've done so many extremes in my life, I lived. I didn't die. It did not destroy me. And many people are afraid. I'm not telling them go against the society, but at least you don't have to be hypocrites. Live in that society, but have a higher understanding and find a creative way, living without participating and in getting involved in the destructive process.
One big question I have to ask you, I mean, you really have to read your book to understand what you went through, and what you went through was absolutely incredible. I mean, you must have been at times fearful that you would be found out as an Israeli informant working for the Shin Bet. But why did you decide to go public with your story? Again, that's another brave and courageous decision.
It's actually, the daily duty of which part of it was hanging out with suicide bombers. I was in a room full of explosives at some point, kitchen-made explosives. And that was part of my work somehow, you can call it. You want to call it a holy mission, I don't know what it was. But for me, it was my way of finding a suicide bomber who's about to go get on a bus or a school, university, blow themselves up and kill so many innocent people, including Arabs. Muslims, Jews, Christians. Do you think suicide bomber, when they got on a bus, they asked people for their IDs or their ethnicity? They just blow themselves up. Go to the records and see how many innocent people from every faith were killed. This is how I saw it. For me, it was not like, informant for Israel, working for Israel, as much as take a responsibility, for whatever my position was in that moment. But all that was nothing comparing to actually telling my parents the truth of what I was doing. Because I could have kept that for as a secret, but by revealing my actions and who I am, not what my society wanted me to be. My society decided for me, even before my birth, that I would be the son of Hamas, son of a top Hamas leader, to go to the mosque, to pray 5 times a day, to become a devout Muslim. This is the expectations of the society. And throughout my journey in the Middle East, I shaped myself in a different way that did not agree with the expectations of my parents, family, society, religion, even the God. Now, this is great to do such a thing, but to be honest about it and not to be afraid of who you truly are and go out to the society and tell them, this is what I did, this is my individuality, I don't regret it, and I share it with you because I would like for you to see through my lenses. I made it available for the individuals who are willing to transcend politics, to transcend culture, to transcend human mind and see a higher truth of what's happening. It came from a place of love, place of responsibility. Nobody forced me to write the book. It was a suicidal mission. We create a certain image for ourselves and we become that image.
Mosab, can you share with us your unique friendship? Is it with Ronen, who you work with within the Shin Bet, and the close bond of friendship that you had with him or still have with him?
Gonen Ben Ishaq was one of my handlers in the Israeli intelligence, and the man came to witness at my hearing in San Diego when the American government wanted to deport me. They did not believe my narrative. They used the book against me, and that's why I told you it was crucifixion. And they wanted to deport me back to the territories or maybe some other dangerous location. And Gonen came out to witness at my hearing and tell the truth of what I did for 10 years for humanity, And practically, he saved my life. So if you want to call it friendship, it's up to you. For me, this is a man who got out of his comfort and also went against the flow of his society, against the protocols of the Israeli intelligence, to do what he thought was right. And to me, this is a very high level of responsibility and a very high level of consciousness. And you have to be fully aware of the circumstances and consequences of such a move, when an intelligence service comes to you and say, you cannot do it. It's against the protocol. If you go to the court to witness for this man and confirm what he's saying, this is against the national security of the state of Israel. And if you go, you will be responsible for that. It's a direct threat. And regardless of that, he came to the court, not concerned of the consequences. For me, this is a beautiful example, not only because he witnessed at my hearing. By the way, when he got to the court, the government dropped their case. He did not even have to say anything in the court. But I saw beauty in that. I saw strength. I saw individuality, that I'm not the only one who's going against the flow of a society, of the agreeable. There is also other person on the other side. And there are, throughout the journey now, it's like I see so many individuals in every society that they're going against the flow of the society, against the establishment. Not rebels. I don't like rebels, I don't like the destructive mentality of just hating establishment, hating society. That's not my style. I'm talking about individuals who understand the dynamics of this process. They respect it, and they come up with some creative way to show strength and pure individuality.
Can I ask you what you think of the current developments taking place with Khalid Marshall, the leader of Hamas, has had a meeting with Mahmoud Abbas, and they've already had an agreement of national unity, and now they are working together to oppose President Donald Trump's peace plan. What are your thoughts on this?
Again, as I told you, they're just two faces of the same coin. One of them knows how to play on a global level. The other one knows how to play on a local level. And both of them are just opposites that they serve the same cause. So I don't have respect for any of them. I don't want to take it further and sound very extreme when I say I don't respect any politician. But this is the reality of the Middle East. And those are very dangerous players. And without conflict, they don't exist. And this is the time for the world powers to realize their game. There is an alternative. And instead of investing, saying, okay, we invest in Mahmoud Abbas versus Hamas, this is what they want. Mahmoud Abbas wants to look the good guy. How? By making Hamas look uglier. The uglier Hamas looks, the more terrorists they are, the more moderate he has become. So I don't think he's better.
Do you think this will lead to a third intifada?
As I said, we are at the edge.
And do you think that President Trump, who's taken a completely different approach to his predecessors in confronting this situation, and actually in a way saying that I recognise as the President of the United States Israeli sovereignty in Jerusalem, and it's important to get Jerusalem off the table, and just to tackle some of these issues that the West has turned a blind eye to for decades. So that is the incitement of your people to hatred and violence. That is funding mass terrorist organisation to carry on and fuel the conflict rather than coming to a genuine peace process, and not engaging with the people on the ground at a grassroots level that can actually are the people that make peace.
This might sound right now that I'm pro-Trump, but also I'm not afraid of whatever
That's
people are going to think. I think he did the right thing. Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian leaderships, they just find impossibilities, and they try to convince everyone that they are possible. Like, for example, Jerusalem is one of them. The reality on the ground that Jerusalem is the capital of the state of Israel. It has been. And this is the reality on the ground. The fact that the American embassy is in Tel Aviv does not make Jerusalem. If you go there, you're going to see that the establishment, the authority on the ground is Israeli authority, with the majority of Jewish people in the city. Now, Palestinians want to reverse time, maybe in some Hollywood fiction, maybe we can reverse time and travel back in time. But in reality, we cannot travel back in time. I think we need to accept the reality on the ground. And this is the easiest way towards peace. But Palestinian leaderships want the impossible. Why? Because they want the conflict to continue. The American current administration want basically to get them out of this endless game. Come back to reality. And instead of living out in your idealism, out there far, far away, come back here and see the reality on the ground. It is the capital of the state of Israel. So once you take the card off the table, which basically living in falsehood and living in false hopes and giving public false hopes that, we are not going to be happy, live freely without Jerusalem as a capital. Really? Is this the biggest concern of the Gaza children? They need medicine, they need food, they need education, they need infrastructure, they need freedom. They don't need stones and just like another territory, it's like Jerusalem cannot guarantee the happiness of the Palestinian people or their freedom. This lie has to come to an end. And this is why Mahmoud Abbas is very mad. They want to fight for something that cannot be achieved.
Mosab, the reason that I have the opportunity to interview today is because of the incredible work being carried out by Magen David Adom, and you're their guest speaker for their event tonight. Can you share with us your experiences of Magen David Adom in saving lives, be it Jewish, be it Arab, or whoever?
Megan David Adom is basically a humanitarian organization. And again, you know, the region is at the edge, and their work is beyond politics and beyond government. Actually, they're not even funded by the government, and they serve humanity. They serve everyone, including Palestinians and including actually Palestinian terrorists when they fall. They have like equal treatment, and I think this is one of a kind organization. It's advanced. It uses very advanced technology, and nowadays they are building a blood bank under the ground in case of disasters, in case of earthquakes, in case of Iranian madness, if they decide to launch thousands of missiles against Israel, which, you know, they already building their bases in Syria. They already gave Hezbollah tens of thousands of missiles. They give Yemen missiles. They gave Hamas missiles. And Israel is such a small country. It's unfortunately, you know, it's a war zone, and we need to be prepared, you know, from a humanitarian point of view. We need to be ready for such a disaster. It's a one-of-a-kind situation. And this organization, the ambulance service in Israel, is one-of-a-kind organization. And they're pro-life, and I support them fully. And there is no way to go wrong with supporting them. As I said, you know, I'm not pro-government. This is something, but this is completely something else.
Mosab Hassan Yousef, I just want to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to interview today. And I found it fascinating. And I just want to thank you for your bravery and your courage to actually confront the truth and not worry about the circumstances. So thank you for all the work that you do for the cause of your people and also for the defense of Israel.
Thank you very much.
It's 2025. America's debt is over $37 trillion, and the dollar just had its worst crash since 1973. That puts your savings and your family's future at risk. That's why we trust Alpha Omega Gold, a company that stands unapologetically with Israel and supports Stand Tall Israel. Visit ao.gold/stand to claim your free precious metals wayfinder guide, or call 1-855-426-4653 today. Protect your future before it's too late.